Well, the time being 6 o'clock, I'd like to call the Board of Health meeting to order. All members are present. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
No space over there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. First item on our agenda are announcements from the Health Department. This time I will turn things over to our Health Agent, Chris Schultz.
Okay. So just a note to the general public, we no longer have free COVID test kits available. The FDA has decided not to continue extending the expiration date on them. So what stock we did have is expired and we can't give that out. So
Expired?
expired. The guidance from the FDA though is that if you use it and the control line shows up, the test is good. Also, then I got this call from today. There are people who are testing multiple times. If you blow your nose before you use the test kit, you get your best results. So for that, but other than that, we no longer have test kits available. And I want to let the board know that your recently passed tobacco regulations actually had an impact today. We had a prospective business that wanted to open up on Washington Street and was denied because they would have been within 500 feet of an existing tobacco shop. So,
Like 6 days. Wow. That's
yes,
impressive.
managed to keep a new tobacco shop out of town. So
Okay.
that's all I got.
Is the number licenses that we have available still 6, or did that number change?
Should still be 6.
Still
Yeah.
6. Yeah, I know because there was one I was talking about doing around. So, okay, great. Any other questions for the Health Department?
No.
Okay. That being said, we can move on to our first discussion and action item of the evening, which is regarding animal regulations. Obviously, I was not here last week, and we made some movement going through things there. We did want to open up, I believe, right, to getting owners of animals in and the ACO. I know some movement has been made there, but we haven't had quite made any scheduling on that, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So we are working to get that consultation brought in as well. So I guess if that's kind of what we're waiting on, then we're still kind of in the same spot with this. Really not much to do at this moment, unless we had questions or thoughts or things we came across in the past couple of weeks that we want to chat about now.
No, I think the thing is, do we, as a board, Chris, you're going to reach out to
I can reach out to
animal control?
Yep.
Do we know who has stables that would be open to
Coming.
joining us, or provide like basically what you provided from like the Mass Association of Board of Health or whatever that gave like the example, like the stable regulation example, like could we provide that and they could like look it over just to get some feedback? Or
Yeah, we could do
I mean,
that.
I know people who are like looking to build a barn in town that maybe would know some info as well. Like I'm happy to reach out and see if they're willing to come, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I think the difficulty is the whole reason we're doing this is so we know who has what and we don't. So anybody we know, I think is just great to pull from
Okay.
the pool right now.
I'll reach out.
Because that's obviously we have no other basis for comparison.
Yep.
I've heard there were 4 stables. I'm aware of 2.
And you've had contact with 1 or 2 of them recently that you maybe we could.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if we could do that and then ask our ACO to visit us as well and have that conversation, I think that'd be great to move forward with getting this kind of moved along.
Yeah.
Have you talked to him at all?
I haven't been able to reach
Okay,
him.
that's fine.
I can ask him to do the next meeting if that works for
That'd be
you.
fine.
Do you have any thoughts on what we discussed at the last meeting?
Uh,
Like we
not
had pegged
in a-
on 6.
yeah.
Do you agree with 6 being the poultry? Not poultry. What was the word we decided on? Oh,
Fowl?
Fowl.
Foul.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with any
Okay.
of that.
No, I think we said
Yeah.
poultry.
Oh, we decided on poultry.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever was in here looked fine to me. Let's leave it at that. I didn't have any issues. So
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, we said 6 poultry shall not require a permit, under 6.
Under 6. Yeah.
And the reason we said 6 is because that's the state minimum for purchasing.
Okay.
You have to
That's
buy
fine.
6 at a time.
Yeah, and fine with
So
that.
you can't buy just one chick for Easter as a gift.
Oh.
That's, yeah.
All right.
Chicken.
So if that, with that being that, that's a really quick discussion tonight. We can,
All right.
so we'll have some guest speakers for our first meeting in February to kind of get the ball rolling there.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on animal regulations? No. All right. Moving on. Discussion regarding the prohibition of the sale of alcohol in containers 100 milliliters or less. Reason why this is on here, in recent memory at least, a resident did come and bring a bunch of nip bottles in front of us and said, hey, do something about this, essentially. That's the first one in recent memory. I know pre-COVID we had people come to us and do similar things or make a similar request. I guess the question here is, how does the board want to handle this, if at all? A thought that I had and I wanted to throw out as a recommendation, the warrant is open. This could be a town meeting article if that's something we wanted to submit. In any time recently, I know that the board has offered to ban something in a way. It's difficult for us here to do a lot of those things. We are met with a lot of resistance, and sometimes with trying to get the whole community involved is difficult. We're going to town meeting, we're kind of being a little bit more open-minded there, and everyone can be a part of that. So I kind of wanted to hear what everyone's opinion was, so we could decide if we want to move forward with that while the warrant's still open, or take another action, or none at all.
I would support putting it on the warrant. Excuse me. And, I just, on New Year's Day, I actually walked up the mile from Folio to the center and counted over 140
Whoa.
of the nips. And, what people don't understand either is like, they're so small, they go into like the drainage, they, go into the water, and then they get into wetlands, and it's just, I just think it's, if you do just, make that walk along Washington Street, and that's where, the gentleman was, he was further up than where I was, came from, I had the complaint. But I just think it's time. I think, and obviously, if people are just throwing them out of the car, that means they're drinking and driving as well, which is another, concern. But I would definitely, support it being on the warrant, and we'd support it at town meeting.
I'm totally in favor of a nip bottle ban. And I also support putting it on the warrant. I'd love to bring it to the community and then really rally the troops and get people's opinions out there. I mean, I think anything that Abington can do to be proactive to help the environment, we should. I mean, I know a lot of other towns have, even if our tri-town areas have not. I want us to make this change, and I want the community to vote to make the change.
I think too, if you talk to anyone that's on a fairly main road,
Yeah.
They all have, the same issue with, debris, and a lot of it, like the nips and what have you, are definitely an issue.
Yeah, and even just yesterday, I spoke to a resident who lives on Orange Street, and the same thing. They see them all the time. Just as much of a litter issue, like you mentioned, and this resident mentioned as well. So I guess kind of my thought process for how we go about if we do want to do a warrant article on this. There's nothing. We didn't put vote on the agenda tonight, so we won't be voting on anything. But most municipalities, when they do put it on the warrant, it is a one sentence, just the sale of alcohol in containers 100 milliliters less is prohibited in the town of Abington, in our case, and that's it. So the question I would have is, I don't know what chapter that goes into or what that falls into in those regards. So we need to get those things clarified. But basically, we get that written up, come to us, and with the majority vote, we can send it to the selectmen. So if that's
Yeah, I mean, I'd be in favor of it too,
Mhm.
putting it on and let the town talk it out.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's not something that personally impacts me. I don't walk on my street and see dozens of them. I do
Mhm.
see them. I wouldn't really be in favor personally of a ban for it, to be honest, because I think there's a lot of situations where they can be useful and they can be fun, but at the same time, yeah, you have to consider the environment. So, let the town talk it out, I think.
I think we need a strong marketing strategy.
Mhm.
There's a lot of, I'm seeing it from taxes are going up, things are changing, water's and you're asking me to not have this too, it just feels like a lot from someone who might not be as involved and understand the long-term plan with it. It's also, while some towns and municipalities have had success with it, they actually just put out, the surrounding towns around Everett had a 40% increase in their sales of nips, so it's still
Yeah, it was
coming into the community.
Yep.
So just something to think about. That was one of our examples, and both Whitman and Plymouth both just voted them down.
Right.
Plymouth had a special election just for this because it was asked to be a special election instead of at a town meeting. So I think yes, I agree that they should not be a thing. I also think that the state needs to step in and do what they were going to do, which was do a deposit on it, which helps with a good portion of it. That's why, yes, you still see bottles and cans, but nowhere near the capacity of these.
Right.
I think there's an incentive there to clean up where we don't have that now. They can't be recycled.
Mhm.
It's not
That's
worth
what I was
it.
gonna
Like there's stuff like, so
Yeah.
there's an opportunity there where do we put our weight behind a bigger change? But the legislation hasn't really been that quick. So it's like, I agree. I'm for it. I would be surprised if it would pass. That's my only thing. But if
Yeah.
getting it out there starts I see this as starting the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We get it on the town meeting. It's going to be a super interesting Monday with everything else going on. This is going to be a strong discussion. I'm just not optimistic that it's going to pass. If it does, amazing, and we could do a great marketing work towards it. But I think we just need to keep in mind that the current climate is not.
It's a
For
lot
this.
in my mind from when plastic bags were banned in this town, because it was a similar type of thing. Communities around us weren't passing them, and we were one of the first to do it. So I envision this will probably go the same way. Either we will do it and we'll be one of the first, or we just won't and we'll be like everybody else around us. Either way, I think that this is right around the same time we did it then, so I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it.
Yeah, no, I want to see
Yeah.
it, and I want to make sure that we just really emphasize like
Yes.
why using some example. It kind of stinks that the people that have banned it are mostly affluent towns, which are not great examples. I think in terms of comparing us, because I don't want to get compared to Newton. I don't want to get compared to Martha's Vineyard. You know, that
Right.
doesn't match for me.
Right.
But you know, I think using the example of the plastic bags, where now, you know, Target was, and then they made their own decision. Stop and Shop made their own decision to not do that. So it's clear that like we were ahead of it. So like you said, like I think just having it set up in a way where we explain why, and that you can still buy a 150 milliliter bottle, you can still buy a 200 milliliter bottle. It's just your little, you know, grab bag of nips is just going to be a little more intense. Like there's,
Right.
I think because there is like it's both leisure and fun, it starts to get muddled a little bit. But
I'm sure this will be something that we'll be asked to provide our opinion or recommendation on
Mhm.
at the town meeting. So, you know, assuming a majority vote to do this, we can have that conversation for
Yep.
those talking points, and I think be prepared to answer some of those questions.
yeah, I think just
Um,
making it very clear, like we're not doing this to take away
Right.
your rights to this. It's just we're looking down 10, 20, 30 years. Microplastics are literally forming their own. Microplastic is a type of rock now. Literally in geology, there's a microplastic rock. So like, how can we get ahead of that? Yeah. So we don't have to. Yeah. I just want
so
to plan ahead for that.
I
That's
guess just
all.
my thing is, you know, we kind of just general consensus. We're okay with putting it on there. So
Yeah.
let's. I'll
Appreciate.
work with the health departments, whoever we need to. We'll get something drafted up, and then next meeting we can have that vote.
Perfect.
What we're going to send down, and then we can work on kind of what kind of talking points and conversation we want to have at town meeting.
Picturing a little
So,
like 3x5 postcard. Yeah, we can. Let's rock this.
yeah, we'll all right. So we'll continue that at our next meeting as well. Any further discussion on that? No, great. Then I'll move on to our health agent report.
Great. Left everybody a copy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inspections since the last meeting. 4 of those were re-inspections. Fines issued, we had 1 priority violation. So, I mean, I think the last week we had 5 or 4, so that's an improvement. We did have 1 foodborne illness investigation. We got a report through Maven of a Abington resident who contracted Campylobacter. They had eaten raw oyster. There's absolutely nothing a restaurant can do to prevent you from getting food poisoning from a raw oyster if you're eating a raw oyster. So it did investigate the restaurant. We didn't find any deficiencies in their practices. But, you know, it's like playing Russian roulette. We did get the shellfish tags, and it was a company out of Boston, and we reported it to DPH so that they can follow up in Boston. It's only 1 case. General complaints that have come into the health department. We had 1 caretaker of a resident call about a mold complaint in an apartment. I would just mention, and if you're in a situation where you're a family member or you're a caretaker of somebody, the occupant did not want to make a report because they were afraid of retribution from their landlord. There is absolutely nothing I can do for you if the occupant does not make the complaint. I have no legal right to enter an apartment unless the occupant requests an inspection. So I did get in touch with the caretaker and told them we'd be more than happy to go out and investigate. Our hands are tied until the occupant makes the complaint.
That's a terrible situation.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, you can't be, if a landlord does carry out some retribution for making a report, they can go to jail. I mean, that's
Yeah.
illegal. That's,
Yeah.
tenants do have rights. So we have that information. If anybody's concerned, they can give us a call. We're happy to go over that. We had a complaint about bad meat sold at a supermarket. I went to the supermarket. There was no bad meat on the shelf. Somebody just got the lucky pick, I guess. And one complaint about mice in a food establishment, which that investigation's ongoing. And, that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Any questions? None? All right. Under my pile of nonsense, are we? All right. Next is a vote to approve the minutes of January 8th. I can't vote on those, but I can run the vote. So.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 8th.
Motion to approve the minutes of January 8th by Katie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Amanda. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right. Those are passed. Public comment? No public to comment. Correspondence. Does the board or the health department have any correspondence to share?
Couple things, and actually I debated about getting on the other side of the table and making a public comment. A number of streets were not picked up today for trash, and we started getting calls this afternoon. First thing I would caution residents towards is our trucks, when they get full, they have to go to either, trash goes to Braintree, recycling I think goes to New Bedford. So there are occasions where trash might not get picked up as early as it usually does. Calling it 2 o'clock is too early to call and complain about your trash. Having said that, our regular driver is out today, and apparently a number of streets, including my own, were missed. So I asked people tomorrow, if you had a Monday route that was not picked up, please call us. We'll do our best to see that it gets picked up. And we've been getting a number of calls about Christmas trees not being picked up. And I would ask the same thing. I don't like to ever accuse anybody of not being completely honest. But we've had a number of people saying that their trees were missed on the pickup day, and when we went out to get them, there was no snow on the tree, or it obviously been plowed underneath, which means they brought it out afterwards. The pickup date was January 13th. Your trees were to be out by 7 a.m. If they were genuinely missed, we apologize. We're more than happy to go pick them up and get them out. But if you were late, maybe check around with your local farms or goat owners. Maybe file a burn permit with the fire department, whatever you need to do. But so that's it for correspondences.
All right. Anything from the board? None? With that, that is the end of our agenda, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Kevin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second Clay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We're adjourned.